it was inconceivable. When we graduated from law school in 1959, there were so few women in the profession. There were hardly any judges who were female, and there were no professors who were female. And what I've been reflecting upon, the employment ads that were listed regularly in the newspapers had columns that said men wanted and another column that said women wanted. And for judges, though they were not listed in the newspaper, it was clearly understood that men were wanted. And I remember when Ruth graduated, and she was very close to the top of the class, I think she tied for first place, she was unable to get a job with a law firm because there were people who believed in those days that women had no place in the law. Mm-hmm. So the idea that one of our classmates could become a judge, let alone a Supreme Court justice, would have been and was inconceivable. We didn't think in those terms.
But you yourself, equally an element of glass ceiling shattering in that you were the first female dean of the law school at Loyola University, Chicago. As you continued on your friendship and professional association with did the two of you ever discuss the fact that you were trailblazers in that way? Tell me some of the conversations you might have shared about that.
Yeah. A student recently wrote to me that one of the most stirring examples of Ruth's leadership, I had Ruth Ginsburg speak at the law school, and she spoke to the freshman class. And she was willing to take questions from my freshman students. And the first question was that of a woman who said, "Justice Ginsburg, I would like to become a judge. What should I do?" And both Ruth and I were taken aback and delighted by that question. And we whispered to one another, that was an incredible question that would not have been asked ever by anyone in our graduating class. And Ruth went on to answer the question, but she was very pleased to be able to do so. The student who asked that question recently wrote me a letter saying that that moment changed her life. And she now holds a very high position in the legal profession. She's not a judge, but she said that that was an inspiration for her.
But in addition to her legal legacy, she became this pop icon. You know, the fact that this pop culture figure, the notorious RBG, as you know. Right. And I'm wondering, again, in your discussions, I mean, we've seen hints of it in documentaries and in public appearances, but again, in your friendship discussions with her,
yes.
What did she think about it all?
Ruth had a quiet sense of humor, and I remember on one occasion she said to me, "Nina, do you believe that in my 9th decade, teenage boys are fighting to take a selfie with me?" And she laughed. She couldn't believe it. So I think it bemused her, but it also delighted her, because her goal was to reach young people. My single most potent memory of her, she was recently honored at the University of Chicago. And a group of us accompanied her to the university for the honor. And when we approached the building, there was a crowd of hundreds of students waiting patiently in line. We were told that many of them had been there for hours. We were let into the building, and while we were standing in the lobby, the doors opened and the students rushed in. And I will never forget the expression on the students' faces as they clutched their tickets, rushing to get in to hear her. It looked like they were going to a rock concert or as if they had won the lottery. And I know she was very, very pleased and spoke at great length to the students and answered all the questions that she had been asked. But it was a wonderful, wonderful interview. And that's the memory that I will carry with me, because she had this uncanny ability to reach across generations and inspire young people.
We know that what she expressed to her family was, as is quoted, "My most fervent wish is that I will not be replaced until a new president is installed." That she said that right before she died. And that wish does not look to be realized, in that the president is going to announce his pick tomorrow at 5 p.m. I'm wondering your
Right.
thoughts on that and whether you think this election will turn on this fact.
Well, I'm not politically sophisticated enough to know whether the election will turn on that fact, but I think it will be a factor in the election. On a personal level, I am deeply saddened that one of her last thoughts as she lay dying was that her legacy, her lifelong work, might be overturned. And I'm very, very sad to think that as she was dying, that went through her mind. And it's very poignant to me that after so many years and so much hard work, she knew that her legacy was ephemeral and might not survive. So when I heard that from her son, it made me very, very sad, very sad. And I'm hopeful, frankly, as a U.S. citizen, that the partisan divide that is racking our country may be healed, and that we begin to come together. I know Justice Scalia and Justice Ginsburg's friendship have been held up as models for the country. They were certainly different in their philosophical and judicial approach, but they were civil and they managed to have a conversation and discuss their differing points of view. And my fervent hope is that that example will live on and will be part of her legacy.